How's it going, everybody? This is Lance, co-founder of BH Capital Enterprises, and I'm gonna discuss in this video how I use time and sales personally. You may or may not want to add it to your arsenal, but I find it very useful, especially when I catch big time orders on any ticker, really. Doesn't happen often, but or all the time, but every once in a while I'm able to catch a really good one that pays out really well. But before we get into that, please make sure you subscribe if you have not already. Thank you to those of you that continue to support with your viewership by sharing, commenting, engaging, all those things. I'm very grateful. And for those of you that are new here, welcome to my channel. And what I do at my channel is my hope is to empower people, especially Black people, to arm themselves with learning how to evaluate data and use that data to make decisions. I don't want to say better decisions because I'm not the judge of that, but just decisions, informed decisions, I should say. But let's go ahead and get into time and sales. So, I'm in Thinkorswim, of course. It's my favorite platform, my preferred platform. I will die on this hill. But anyway, I'm going to show you first where to find time and sales. You find it right under the trade tab. And there are platforms that where you can pay for um, scans of time and sales, and they'll tell you, what type of trade it is and things like that, or those big order flows that come in. But I don't pay for that any kind of service of that sort right now. So that's why I don't often find these big orders unless I just kind of randomly go and check time and sales. Um, I'm supposed to check time and sales at least once a day, at least for my watch list, but there's no possible way that I can, check it for the entire market. It's impossible. So that's where those services can be useful. But anyway, so what I look for with time and sales is first I want to see big orders. And I don't mean like 10, $20,000. I'm talking like high six figures on into seven-figure trades. And like I said, I just kind of randomly type in tickers and check the time and sales to see if I see anything that's interesting to me. So this order right here, although someone purchased almost 2,200 contracts, they only paid $2 for them. So this is like what less than $5 grand bet right here. So I'm not real interested in this right now. And let's see, this one I'm not really interested in either. But let's come down to this one. So at 12:35 today, Eastern time, someone bought the 147 puts for next week, and they bought 2,000 contracts at $344. So they bought it close to the asking price. So the first thing that I do is I see, what type of premium outlay that is. So you multiply 2,000 times 344. That's $688,000. So someone bet well over $500,000 on the 147 put, and they likely, since they got it, they got it right before that selling volume started to creep in today on in the market. So the sellers really started to creep in around 1 o'clock, and that's when the market's really plummeted. So I mean, it's possible that they sold this already. But anyway, so when I see a big order like that, I first I see how much premium was spent or collected, because it could be a credit, it could be option selling, it could be option buying, it could be a credit spread, it could be a debit spread. But in this case, this is a single. Well, it says it's a spread, so I don't know I don't see any other times on here that are the same. So I also look for times that are the same. Um, so what I do is I right click and I say analyze trade. And so it'll bring me to this screen, the risk profile screen. And down here with a check mark is that trade that I want to analyze. And it shows you exactly what that trade looks like in terms of the risk profile. So of course, if you buy puts, you want the price to fall and you make more money as the price falls. So the break even, once I get here, I look for the break even. So the break even on this trade is about 143.72. You can see the Apple closed below that, it closed in the 142 area. So once it hits that break even, that's going to be my key level, one of my key levels that I look for when I see these types of orders. And for me, I have more conviction about a move if big money is involved. You know what I'm saying? Because regular retail traders most likely aren't spending upwards of $700,000 on a trade. So most likely it was maybe a small institutional trader or something like that. Could be somebody with some big money, but either way, the timing. I mean, it's a tell. It's a tell. But so yeah, so what you can do is when you see these types of trades, you can mimic the trade. So let's go back to add simulated trades. And I can say, I can right click and I can say create duplicate order. Or if I want to trade in the opposite direction, I can create the opposite order. So you can follow that trade or you can, do whatever it is you want to do with that information. But I want to talk about an example on Apple that unfortunately I don't have it here anymore. Um, but one day I came to time and sales on Apple. I just, it was just one of those random days where I was like, let me go ahead and check time and sales on Apple. So I went to time and sales and I saw these two huge orders. So again, I'm looking for the orders that are filling at the exact same time. Now that's not to say that somebody can't, put in orders, at different times, but it all be a part of the same, trade or strategy or whatever. But what I look for is orders that come in at the same time. Again, big money orders, so I calculate, what's being spent or collected. So on this day, came in, and this was back in April. So about early to mid-April, someone had bought what's called a long straddle on Apple. And the straddle was set to expire on May 20th. And the amount of money that they put out for this trade was, I want to say, no more than $3 million. So it was between $1 and $3 million that was put out for this trade. Before I started to learn or really dig into advanced option strategies, I never really paid attention to those spreads. But now I have a greater appreciation for those spreads because they can tell me what the institutions are thinking if I catch that institutional order flow. So back to the straddle. So with the straddle, what happens is you buy a call and what do you do? You buy a call and you sell a put, or you buy a call and a put. So you buy both. You buy a call and a put at the same strike for the same expiration. That is called a straddle. And let me see if I can show you guys this on a risk profile. Uh, Let me just do straddle, just to show you guys what a straddle looks like when you when you bring it up. All right, so let's go to analyze a buy trade. Boom. All right. So then if I go to risk profile, it's going to have it there. So this is exactly what a straddle looks like, and it's got my break evens there. So again, someone outlaid millions of dollars on Apple. So with it being a straddle, so again, going back to more things that I'm looking for, it's letting me know what institutions may be anticipating. So when I saw this straddle, what it told me was that somebody or some institution is anticipating a big directional move on Apple, right? So there are a couple of things that I can do with that information. Number one, I could just mimic the trade, right? But the con to spreads is that you have to have a margin approval on your account. So I do cash. I have cash approval on my account because I don't want to be limited to day trading. The pattern PDT rule. So when you have a cash account, there is no PDT rule. So anyway, so I don't have the ability to trade spreads in my current account right now. Not right now. The goal, of course, is to eventually change that. But anyway, you can mimic the trade, or you can try to figure out which way they're anticipating that move, right? So this is what I did with Apple. So for one, in my paper trade account, I did mimic the trade, and the trade ended up doubling. So imagine outlaying $1 to $3 million and getting $1 to $3 million in profit. So that's literally what happened. So in my attempt to figure out which way Apple was going, I went to the chart. What I saw on the chart was, number one, Apple had been falling. Number two, now there was a downtrend coming into that moment. Number two, Apple was sitting right at a key level on its historical chart. So a weekly chart, monthly chart, it was sitting at a very critical level where institutions typically come in and buy it, right? Number three, Apple was heading into earnings. So all those three things in conjunction with one another, and we know that stocks tend to, or the markets tend to run at some point between earnings. This was that time. Apple was also sitting, I want to say it was sitting at its 50-day moving average. I don't remember if it was sitting at the 200, but I know it was sitting at least at the 50-day moving average, so a pretty strong level of support. Not as strong as the 200, of course, but still a key level. So I said, I'm going to take the chance, and Apple was trading for 150 at this time. And the break even on that trade was, to the upside anyway, was like maybe 165, somewhere in there. It was between 165 and 169 was the break even. So I was like, yo, would I, whether I'm an individual or an institution, would I risk $1 to $3 million if I didn't believe that Apple was going to move 13 points plus by May 20th, because that was the expiration date? I said, no way. 30 days is going to happen. Apple's going to move beyond that break even. So I wrote out the break even. So those are going to be my key levels, some of my key levels that I was going to pay attention to as the days went on. And Apple ended up moving from 150 to low 180s, I believe, between that day, which was sometime between early to mid-April, it was closer to mid-April, and May 20th. Apple moved 20 to 30 points in that time. And like I said, that spread doubled at least. It more than doubled in terms of return. So yeah, time and sales is very important. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully that was a pretty decent demonstration of why I use time and sales, or how I use time and sales. Right now, my latest find on Apple is right here, not this straddle, but this trade here. And I don't remember the date, but this was probably within the past few weeks, where someone bought the 135 puts for August, and they bought 3,000 contracts, and they paid over $800 per contract. So that's big money, seven-figure trade right there. and they're betting on Apple moving down. So break even on that trade, I believe, is let me see. Let me do some math right quick. 126.55. So right here is your break even on this trade. So those are some levels that I'm certainly watching on Apple. And like I said before, Apple is currently in the low 140s after today's drop. And yeah, so I believe that this trade is going to pay out, definitely. So, you know, if it's this isn't investment advice or anything at all, but this is definitely something that I'm going to be monitoring as the days go on. But again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.